Peter here from Discovery Adventures. In today's video we're going to show you how to repair caravan carpets which are starting to delaminating. The sign of this is when the backing separates from the back of the front of the carpet, and when you end up with a load of like sand under the carpets whenever you pick them up. Also, caravan carpets can be quite slippery, so what we're going to do here is apply a latex rubber to the back of the carpets. This will bond the two segments of carpet together and also prevent the carpets from slipping around on the caravan floor. They become quite grippy with the rubber on the back. It's quite simple to do. Just apply with a brush or a roller. Now, depending on how badly delaminated the backing is from the front of the carpet will determine how much of this you'll need to put on. It does tend to soak in quite heavily into the carpet, so you need to apply it liberally. The ones I've done before, I was initially worried in case it would soak through to the carpet on the front, but that doesn't appear to have happened at all. So I'm now just going to do the remainder of the carpets, and although these ones are not starting to delaminate, they do slide around a lot in the caravan. So I'm doing this to, one, help prevent them delaminating, and two, to make them safer because they don't slide around. So it's quite a simple process. And it goes on quite white, but when it actually dries, this is the flesh colour latex. When it dries into the same colour as the original backing material. So on these ones, because this is solely going on with a non-slip purpose, I'm not worrying too much about completely covering every last bit of the backing with it. It's just a case of put it on. You can also, if necessary, apply additional coats after 24 hours. Also with this, if the carpets are starting to get a little bit flimsy, by applying this in a fairly thick coat, it actually stiffens the carpets back up again and gives them that little bit more firmness to them, and again increasing the life of the carpets. So a new set of carpets for our caravan, new from Swift, was about £300, and this you can do a complete set of carpets on a large 7.5 metre caravan for around about £40. What you need to do after you've applied this, before you put them back into the caravan, is allow 24 hours for the product to dry. And you'll be quite surprised just how grippy this is. The second you put the carpets down, if you wanted to move them, you've got to sort of lift them to move them, because they really do grip to the floor. They're not sticking to the floor, they just grip the floor really, really well. And again, I tend to just go around the edges. If you go over the edge of the edging of the carpet, don't worry, because when it dries you don't even notice it. And again, this is a far cheaper option to increase the lifespan of your carpets without spending out money on them. And especially if you've just bought the caravan and you've had a load of expense with all the kit you've got to buy, especially if it's the first time owning a caravan, this is a much cheaper way of ensuring you've got good carpets to walk on, especially in the winter when the floors are cold. Again, you do need to keep a fairly well ventilated area, because this does, while you're applying it, tends to have like an ammonia smell to it. However, that smell completely goes once the latex is completely dry in about 24 hours time. Obviously, I did this to one of the large sections of carpet which gets the most wear, just in front of the kitchen, and it really does make a big difference to, you know, the sanding on the back. Since we've done it, there's been no sanding going through, and the carpets are now, you know, intact together. They're not separated back to front, so it's definitely worth giving it a go. Now, it does take a little while to get this on. Obviously, the bigger the carpet, the longer you need to do it. But as I say, this one hasn't actually separated. This is just a preventative and for the non-slip. Now, these are 1 litre bottles, and when I did the kitchen area carpet, which as I say is a much larger one, and it had delaminated, so I needed to put quite a bit on. I used a complete 1 litre bottle, but this one I'm not expecting to even use 1/4 of a bottle. Also, when you're putting it on, you may find that the latex is starting to set and you get little rubber bobbles on it, a bit like you do on a wall jumper. Don't worry about those. If they're small, again, they just help with the gripping, and if they're larger, then just pick them off just before the solution is completely set. Obviously, being latex, if you've got a latex allergy, you might want to get somebody else to do this for you. And again, if you've got a severe latex allergy, it might be better, you know, not to undergo this process, because obviously the last thing you want is an anaphylactic reaction. But if you've not got any sensitivities to latex, then, you know, this is worth giving it a go. Again, these carpets are only 4 years old, but they have already started to break down. A little bit more of a solution. And with this as well, I found I can wash the bowls out that I've used just in plain water, and the same with the brush, so I can reuse the brush. It is surprising how much of this it takes, so it does soak in quite a bit. And again, if you're unsure or worried about it soaking through to the carpet side, put a thin coat on the first time, let that dry, and then the next day give it a second coat to build up the rubberized back inside of it to stop it slipping. And this problem seems to be quite common in caravans. I've seen quite a few posts on the various forums about carpets delaminating. So I'm sure there's quite a few of you out there who would be interested in giving this a go. Obviously, the more you put on, the more grippiness it's going to have, and also the more sturdy the backing's going to be. There's more rigidity to it once it's set. Although latex is quite flexible, it's quite surprising how it actually makes the carpets rigid. There's one thing that really annoys me with the carpets when they're in the caravan, is they're constantly sliding around all the time, and you're always trying to realign them, and especially when you're hoovering the caravan, it makes it so much easier because the carpets aren't sliding around everywhere. Right, so that one's just done. I might put a little bit more on, just generally all over. So I'll probably use just under half a litre. As I say, it's quite surprising how it actually soaks in everywhere. And again, you can go over the bits you've already done, and the worst it's going to do is bobble a bit. But that doesn't really seem to cause any problems. And say, any larger bobbles that form on it, you can just pick those off. When the carpets are delaminated, I say in the areas where it had delaminated, I did actually apply a fair bit. Just be mindful though that don't put so much on that it is going to soak right through. But as it goes on, it does sort of fill up all the backing, get holes in the backing in the Hessian. So that's what I sort of use as a guide, especially when I was delaminated areas. So this is just about done now, and as I say, I'll leave it 24 hours and then I'll pop it in the caravan, and that then is going to give me quite a lot longer life out of these. I'll try and make another video, a part 2 video, once this is cured, just to show you what it's like once it's actually all gone off and set. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe, and I'll do more videos to do with caravans coming up in the future. Thank you very much.